you've watched The Lion Guard, you know that Kion became an incredible leader. He mastered the roar of the elders, led the best lion guard the Pride Lands has ever seen, and eventually became king of the Tree of Life. But here's something that might surprise you. Kion learned 8 lessons from his father that Simba never did. And I'm not talking about small things here. I'm talking about lessons that completely changed how Kion led, how he saw the world, and who he became as a king. Some of these lessons Simba couldn't learn because Mufasa died when he was just a cub, before he could teach Simba everything about leadership. Others are lessons that Simba just never figured out, even as an adult ruling Pride Rock. And look, I'm not saying this to bash Simba. He lost his father young, spent years outside of the Pride Lands, learning Hakuna Matata instead of how to be a king, and had to figure everything out on his own when he came back. Kion had advantages Simba never had. He had Rafiki, Mufasa's spirit guiding him, and eventually incredible mentors like Askari and Queen Jana, who taught him wisdom Simba never learned. But Kion also faced struggles his father never dealt with. So right now, I'm going to show you the 8 lessons Kion learned that Simba never did. Alright, let's start with lesson number 8. Different doesn't mean wrong. This is something Kion learned really early on, and it completely changed how the Lion Guard worked. When Kion was choosing his team, everyone expected him to pick the strongest lions. That's how it had always been done, right? But Kion broke that tradition. He chose Bunga, a honey badger, Fuli, a cheetah, Veshti, a hippo, and Ono, an egret.
Till the Pride Lands end, Lion Guard defend!
Everyone thought he was crazy for not choosing lions, but Kion saw something nobody else did. Each of them brought something unique to the team. Bunga was fearless and could fit into small places, Fuli was the fastest, Veshti was the strongest and could move through water, Ono could see for miles. Together, they were a way better team than just lions would have been. But Simba never learned this lesson. When Kion first chose his guard, Simba told him he was supposed to pick lions, not a honey badger, cheetah, hippo, and egret.
Lion Guard has always been made of lions.
He questioned Kion's judgment, because breaking tradition didn't make sense to him. And in Lion King 2, his whole problem is that he can't accept the outsiders because they're different from his pride. He tells Kiara that's not how they do things. And at the end, when the outsiders finally join the Pridelanders, that wasn't Simba's idea. That was Kiara who said, "We are one." His daughter had to teach him the lesson. Kion understood that different doesn't mean wrong. It means stronger. Simba saw different as a threat. Moving on to number 7. Healing comes from letting go, not holding on. This is a lesson Queen Jana taught Kion, and honestly, it might have saved his life. After Ushari bit him during the final battle with Scar, Kion wasn't just dealing with physical venom, he was holding on to so much anger. Anger about bringing Scar back, anger about losing control of the roar, anger at himself for all his mistakes, and that anger was literally poisoning him from the inside. When Kion arrived at the Tree of Life, Jana told him something really important. She said he was holding on to his anger like it was a part of him, and until he let that go, he would never truly heal. So, Kion had to learn to forgive. He forgave Scar's spirit, saying he forgave him for everything he had done.
I forgive you.
You what?
And when he finally let go of all that rage and pain, he was truly able to heal. The venom stopped controlling him, and he could finally think clearly again. Letting go of his anger was what allowed him to master the roar and find peace. But Simba never learned this. In The Lion King 2, you can see that he's still holding on to everything from his past. He's still traumatized by Mufasa's death. He's still bitter about Scar's betrayal, and he projects all of that unhealed trauma onto the outsiders. He looks at Kovu and sees Scar, because Simba never processed his pain. He never let go. And to be honest, that sometimes makes him a fearful, controlling leader instead of a wise one. And speaking of lessons from mentors, number 6 is power is a responsibility, not a right. Askari, the first leader of the Lion Guard, taught Kion this lesson. When Kion was learning to master the roar, Askari explained that the roar wasn't about power or control. It was about responsibility. The roar was a gift from the great kings, and it could be taken away if he used it for evil or selfish reasons. Kion learned that having the roar meant he had to serve the circle of life, not rule over it. The whole point was to protect others, not to prove how strong he was. Askari even told him that mastering the roar meant learning when to let it go.
Time for you to learn everything the roar can do.
True power comes from selflessness, not dominance. But Simba sees power completely differently. To him, being king is a birthright. He constantly says, "I am the king," like it's the end of every argument. In the Lion Guard, when Simba disagrees with Kion's choices, he pulls the "I'm your father and I'm your king" card instead of actually listening. And in Lion King 2, when Kiara questions his decisions, he shuts her down with "You deliberately disobeyed me," instead of explaining why he made that choice. It's all about his power to command, not his responsibility to serve. Simba rules because of who he is, not through understanding. But power wasn't the only thing Kion had to figure out. For number 5, we have you can't lead alone. Kion built the Lion Guard as a team, and he actually listened to them. There were so many times when Kion asked his team, "What do you think?" or "What should we do?" He valued their opinions and trusted their expertise, and during the time he had the venom going through his body, he often gave leadership to Fuli, since he knew he couldn't make decisions clearly. That takes serious humility and self-awareness. Kion knew that trying to do everything alone would only make things worse. Simba never learned this. In The Lion King 2, he makes huge decisions without consulting anyone. When he banishes Kovu, he doesn't ask Nala what she thinks. He doesn't talk to Rafiki. He doesn't even listen to Kiara when she tries to explain what actually happened. He makes decisions that affect the entire pride, and then wonders why things go wrong. Kion understood that a leader needs their team. Simba thought he had to carry everything himself. And this connects to something even bigger for number 4. Being king isn't the only way to matter. Kion was the second-born, which meant he would never be king of Pride Rock, and he was completely okay with that. He found his own path by leading the Lion Guard and protecting the Circle of Life. He made a huge difference without needing a crown. And later, when he became king of the Tree of Life,
It is my honor to present King
it wasn't because of
Kion.
inheritance. It was because of who he had become. He earned that position through his wisdom and growth, not birthright. But for Simba, everyone just sees him as king since he has returned. In the Lion Guard episode, The Trail to Udugu, when Kion is away, Simba temporarily leads the Lion Guard. And what does he do? He tries to fully command them instead of trusting them to do their jobs. He orders them around, makes things worse, and has to learn that he can't just boss everyone around. He couldn't separate who he was from what he ruled. Kion learned that you can matter without a throne. Simba never really did. But here's something that really separated them, and that's number 3. Trust is earned, not given by blood. Kion learned that being family doesn't automatically mean someone deserves your trust. He trusted Jasiri, a hyena, more than he trusted some lions. He built trust through actions and loyalty, not only bloodlines. He even questioned his own father when Simba made decisions he didn't agree with. Simba had the complete opposite experience. In the first Lion King, he trusted Scar just because Scar was family, and that trust got Mufasa killed. He was just a cub then, so that wasn't really his fault. Then, later, when Simba returned to Pride Rock to fight Scar, he had him cornered at the edge. Simba could have ended it right there, but because Scar was family, he gave him a chance to leave and live.
Run, never return.
And what did Scar do? He attacked him and nearly killed Simba in the fire. Simba trusted blood over actions, and it almost cost him his life. Kion learned that trust has to be earned through what you do. Simba kept trusting family even when they proved they shouldn't be trusted. And trust connects directly to number 2. Real strength is knowing when not to fight. Kion learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose peace over violence. When he faced Scar's spirit in the volcano during the final battle, he could have destroyed him with the full power of the roar. Scar was literally goading him to do it, trying to make Kion angry enough to lose control. But instead, Kion chose to forgive. He said, "I forgive you for everything you've done." That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Kion understood that some battles aren't worth fighting, and that showing restraint takes more strength than just roaring at every problem. But Simba's first instinct is always to fight. In Lion King 2, when he shows up to the final battle, he's ready for violence, and Kiara literally has to throw herself between the two prides to stop him. She's the one that teaches him that they're one.
We are one.
Which brings us to the most important lesson of all. Number 1, animals can change. Give them second chances. This truly defines the difference between Kion and Simba. Kion believed that anyone could change if they wanted to. Janja started as a villain who attacked the Pride Lands constantly. Him and his clan caused trouble in basically every episode of Season 1 and 2. But when Janja realized Scar was using him, when he wanted to reform and do better, Kion gave him a chance. And you know what? Janja became one of their greatest allies in the fight against Scar. He helped defeat Scar in the final battle. Maku went from dangerous crocodile who challenged everyone to a respected leader who protected the Pride Lands alongside the Lion Guard. Kion saw the potential for growth in everyone, even his worst enemies. He understood that who you were yesterday doesn't have to define who you are today. Simba never learned this. To him, once you're an enemy, you're always an enemy. The outsiders were loyal to Scar, so they must be evil forever. It takes the entire movie of Lion King 2 for Simba to barely accept Kovu, and even then, he doesn't really accept the outsiders as equals. At the end, he just kind of accepts that they're back in the Pride. But there's no moment where Simba actually says he believes in their change. He stops fighting them because Kiara convinced him to, not because he learned the lesson himself. These were the 8 lessons Kion learned that Simba never did. And look, this doesn't make Simba a bad king or a bad father. He did save the Pride Landers from Scar and did the best he could with what he was given. He learned other lessons from Timon and Pumbaa about life that Kion never did, so everyone has their own strengths. But these lessons show us something important. They show us that having good teachers matters, that staying open to learning from everyone, even your enemies, can make you stronger. Kion had mentors who guided him, and he was willing to learn from every mistake, every challenge, and every moment of his journey. And that's what made him the leader he became. So, which lesson surprised you the most? Do you think Simba could have learned these if he had had the same chances Kion did? Let me know in the comments below, and if you think I missed any important lessons, drop those down there too. If you want to see more about Kion's leadership or other Lion King content, make sure to check out my other videos. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.